Sig Sauer is a bit sour over their P320 platform continuously somehow discharging itself on its own and them getting sued for it. They put out a series of angry tweets. Let's check them out. Sig Sauer put out a series of posts yesterday on Twitter designing the P320 platform, saying that it's safe and reliable to use and that the discharges are negligence by the user, not by the design of the firearm itself. And these series of posts is basically defending their design and their company's integrity. Let's get into them. The P320 cannot, under any circumstances, discharge without a trigger pull. That is a fact. The allegations against the P320 are nothing more than individuals seeking to profit or avoid personal responsibility. Recently, anti-gun groups, members of the mainstream media, trial attorneys, and other uninformed and agenda-driven parties have launched attacks on one of Sig Sauer's most trusted, tested, and most popular products, the P320 pistol. In all cases, these individuals have an ulterior motive behind their baseless allegations that the P320 can fire without a trigger pull. They have no evidence, no data, and no empirical testing to support any of their claims. They instead choose to misrepresent clear, negligent discharges as a design problem. So once again, they defend their design integrity and say that it's user negligence. And the lawsuits are claiming that the design is Flaw and that the firearm will somehow fire itself without the trigger being actuated by the user. And I actually found a case a few days ago from the Seattle Times, just doing a random Google search, where they in Washington State are going away from the 320 platform because of reports it could fire by itself. When you start reading through the article, it starts talking about the lawsuits and the reports of it firing by itself, and it gives an incident in New Jersey, and then the guy that won the lawsuit in Georgia, and then it has an incident about training in a police academy in Spokane in eastern Washington, where the recruit insists his trigger finger was indexed, pointed alongside the frame of the handgun outside the trigger guard when he drew the weapon. And then he basically says that it fired itself and that he was indexing. Now, clearly, it's what he said, she said kind of thing. And then there's also the drop testing thing. That's kind of another thing that's in the mix here. But the overarching theme is that they're complaining that the P320 design is flawed inherently and unsafe to use. In the decades since its introduction, the P320 has undergone the most rigorous testing and evaluation of any firearm by military and law enforcement agencies around the world. It consistently delivers a proven record of performance and reliability through state-of-the-art engineering and documented quality control at every stage of its production. Claims that unintended discharges are anything more than negligent handling or manufactured lies to support an anti-gun, anti-SIG agenda are false. Furthermore, lawsuits claiming the P320 is capable of firing without the trigger being pulled have been dismissed in courtrooms around the country. In addition, multiple plaintiffs, so-called experts, have conceded it's not possible for the P320 to discharge unless the trigger is fully actuated. So you see the terms fully actuated trigger and then negligent discharge. You see this over and over again. If you do any kind of study about this, you'll see that most of the cases were actually won by SIG, and then there was the guy in Georgia who won, and that there seems to be a whole plethora of other people with the same lawyer claiming the same thing. So this guy in Georgia essentially shot himself in the leg or whatnot and went to the hospital, sued SIG and won, and then had, cover the fees for medical expenses, so on and so forth. And it seemed to kind of spiral from there. SIG does have the military contracts, the police contracts, so it does kind of put a little bit of a target on their back, and the fact that they've been so successful with the P320 and the P365 lineup, you can see from their, perception that they've sold how many of these, how many millions of them, and these issues that they're claiming. If you look at the overall data, I guess, it's up to interpretation, but when you get into the weeds of the data, you see most of the lawsuits they've actually won. The rhetoric is high, and we can no longer stay silent while lawsuits run their course. and clickbait farming, engagement hacking grifters continue their campaign to hijack the truth for profit. Enough is enough. From the courts of law to the court of public opinion, we will combat the lies and misinformation with the truth. Sig Sauer stands behind the quality, safety, and design of all our products, especially the P320. Industry, take notice. What's happening today to Sig Sauer with the anti-gun mob and their lawfare tactics will happen tomorrow at another firearms manufacturer, and then another. Today for Sig Sauer, it ends. I will agree about the lawfare tactics. We've seen that with Glock and the Glock switches. We've also seen about the country of Mexico suing firearms manufacturers here. What else was there? I believe Remington, before it went essentially defunct, and now I believe it's owned under a different brand and being manufactured under a different brand, kind of had the same thing happen where they were sued for basically people didn't like their performance of their products and saying they were dangerous to the society, so on and so forth, and that you make a product is dangerous and that you're legally liable for the actions of the people that use your product, so on and so forth. So once again, that if you can't hold the individual accountable, that they find a way to use this blanket technique where they go to the inanimate object and blame it instead of the human being. So I see this lawfare tactics as a way to basically hamper people's rights and then basically increase the costs of these products, saying they're dangerous, so on and so forth. So there's always somewhat kind of end goal where getting money out of the company or increasing their costs or, costing them their contracts with the military or police, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of lawfare grift going on in our country, and that I will absolutely agree with. So I don't have any Sig P320 products myself. I'm a CZ75 fiend, but I do know from doing research about all the people that sued Sig that they have won most of these lawsuits, and I do kind of agree that people are trying to get in their pockets, but also at the same time, if the same issue occurs enough times, that you have to eventually recognize the truth that there may be an inherent design flaw. But when it's millions and millions and millions sold and the number of claims is really small, well, then you start to do the statistics and see all the cases that they've actually won and been dismissed, and you can get the company's frustration. Take it as you will. I think this is a good thing from Sig standing up for themselves, protecting their product line, because they do have a lot of contract money on the line with this product line especially. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.